In Module 2, we took a look at a strategic plan and picked apart the components and what they meant. Now we're going to take a look at how that plan came together so that as you work on your project, you'll be able to choose a goal or initiative and understand how to create a project plan that will achieve that goal. We looked at the vision and mission statements, remembering that the vision statement is your ideal reality, what you see with your eyes closed, and the mission statement is what you do every day. It's the statement of purpose and a definition of what your organization is intended to do. In a strategic plan, goal statements are also high level. For example, increase student achievement, develop a world-class infrastructure. These statements cannot be met with one or two steps or measured by one or two objectives. When you're working on your project plan, you will define a project that would be one of the projects that you might need in order to achieve this goal, and you'll identify sub-goals or objectives to go under that. Your current state is a snapshot of your current status, quantitative and qualitative data that defines the starting point for where you want to go. You establish that by conducting a needs assessment. In the context of this course, there is not time to do elaborate needs assessment, but you should be able to collect some data to get started. These are a few ways to collect data for a needs assessment. Surveys can be small or large. Observation you might do in a classroom. Interviews also, you might find some people that you could interview who will have a lot of information. And then reviewing documents. It's always possible to look into your strategic plan or curriculum documents or whatever else you have posted that will give you information about defining the gap in where you want to go. Once you have the data, you develop what's called a gap analysis. Given where you are starting, what do you need to do to achieve your vision? If you have, for example, 20% of students meeting or exceeding expectations on math scores, then your gap is 80%. From that starting point, your objective might be to increase math scores by 10% per year. That would be measurable in a number of ways and probably attainable. The objectives you write are clear, measurable, and attainable. If they're not attainable, you will spend too much of your time revising your plan. The measures are the performance indicators by which you will measure your progress towards your goal. Once you have this, you should start noting some strategies that will help you to reach your objectives. You will eventually combine these into an action plan and add more steps to fill in. A sample action plan is attached to this module. These are the components of your project plan. A more comprehensive assignment sheet is provided. Basically, you'll write an introductory section that describes the demographics of your community and also the demographics of students. This could have to do with geography as far as the community, what's around it, and for the students, you want to have the number, how many are at risk, how many are maybe free and reduced lunch, your racial breakdown, gender breakdown, and other factors that might influence your work. You should elaborate on this with a narrative, not just put bullets. Then you'll include the vision and mission statement, and this might be the vision and mission statement of your learning organization, or you might refine it to apply specifically to your goal. You'll want to have some more refined goals than the broad one that we have in the plan. You'll use some objectives and define your indicators and then have an action plan. This is an example of the action plan presented in Excel format. You could either be using Excel, Microsoft Project, or Smartsheet, or any number of project management tools. I'm suggesting Excel here because it's more affordable. If you notice, the duration is one of the columns that's broken down clearly. So the whole project, for example, is expected to take 186 days, but you have the steps in between that are going to be much less. When are they going to start? When are they going to end? And this is a way to see which steps are dependent on others. It may be that you can't start the user security until you've finished the integration of the core files, for example. And then you have a status column where you're indicating the percent complete. So when you have 100%, you have green, and 90%, 50%, they're in the yellow. And you define this through pivot tables so that you would have a formula in the background that tells you if it's between 35% and 95%, for example, then it's yellow. If it's 95 to 100%, it's green. And if it's lower than 35%, you're going to have it turn red. And that's not too difficult to do with pivot tables. If you were in one of the more formal tools like Microsoft Project or Smartsheet, those numbers would turn colors automatically. And this is the Gantt chart version that shows this particular project. It was the implementation of an assessment tool called Performance Matters in the school district. And for people who like a more visual approach, then you can use the Gantt chart version and see what's going on. So thank you for spending time here tonight. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. And if you have questions, please feel free to email me.